Jen, you want to start us off?
Yes, sorry.
Sure.
Tyler, it's good to see you. This is a pretty big deal, the extension, but what does it mean to you to be regarded as such a core member of this offense and of the team?
Well, I mean, it's truly a blessing, and like I said, I always try to be about my faith, and so I give God all the glory and all the credit. I know it's hard to be able to be in a position as athletes for us in the NFL to even get to a third contract extension. Usually we say that the average is 3.5 years, to play in the league, and I don't know if that's changed. And so to even make it to a second contract, you've already, beat the odds within the average years of playing, and to get another contract after that, I mean, it's like a really amazing accomplishment. To me, it's a phenomenal accomplishment, something that I never really thought about, maybe until after you get a second contract. It crosses your mind, but you're not really even thinking too much about it until it starts to sneak up on you. And so, like I said, man, it's a blessing. And I think for me, it's just trying to understand, and as I pray and talk to God, like understanding why me, why am I in this position? How can I be a good steward of what you've been given to me? And how can I continue to glorify you in everything that I've been doing?
Thank you.
Corbin?
Hey, Tyler, there was a statement released by Seahawks players on behalf of Seahawks players today indicating that you guys were not going to be participating in voluntary offseason programs, and you considered sitting out last year, opting out because of the pandemic. I guess my big question for you is, do you see benefits still going back to an offseason program like pre-2020 once it's safe to do so? Or do you think that virtual programs are here to stay moving forward? Where do you stand on that?
Well, like I said, when I was going through the protocol of whether I should play or not, I was, trying to make the best decision for my safety. And, as well as taking into consideration my family and friends, because a lot of them want to come be around me and come to the games as well. And when it came to playing, I had to make that decision. And so I understood the risk, I understood the cost, and I understood what needed to happen in order to try to create the most safest environment. Um, I think for the Seahawks, like we did a great job. We learned, we made mistakes, obviously, because we had to learn how to adapt. But throughout all the adapting and all the stuff that took place, we ended up finding a way to be able to make it happen to where throughout the season, there was no COVID cases. I think as we head into this year, like I said, there was a statement that was put out, and all the words are pretty much said in a statement. I think that last year, we did a virtual off season. Nobody expected it to happen, and it worked out perfectly fine, just because of the pandemic and the global shutdown and everything that took place and that's happened. And so in the statement, it's also referred in there that, we also want to do a virtual this year.
Michael Sean?
Hey, Tyler, how did the decision between you guys come together to skip out on the workouts this year?
Just, talking to each other, having a meeting, being able to have each player reach out to their positions to be able to try to get a vote of what everybody felt and how everybody felt, if they were safe about going back or not.
Do you feel safe working out in the facility now?
I'm not at the facility.
I mean, like, if is like it a matter you don't feel safe going there now?
I mean, honestly, I don't feel safe anywhere. I don't feel safe even in my own house. So, I mean, unless I stay in my house forever, I know I'm gonna be good. But I mean, at some point, you gotta try to get back to some type of normalcy. And so, I mean, but it doesn't matter. I can go to a gas station and touch the pump. You know what I mean? I can get traded cash. Like, I mean, nobody's gonna feel safe.
Thanks.
Greg Bell?
Tyler, you're still a young man, but do you see this as Seattle and the Seahawks where you want to be retired, where you want your entire career to be?
Well, I'm almost 30, so I don't know if that's considered.
That's relative.
Yeah, like I would love to finish my career as a Seattle Seahawk, man. Like that's why I said it was amazing. Feeling that they even wanted to keep me on the team even longer. You know, I understand it's a business. I understand that sometimes business moves are made and sometimes it works out in the best interest of ourselves as players, and sometimes it doesn't. It benefits other players. So just to be able to kind of see how they feel about me, understand how they feel about me, hear about them, hear those words and excitement and all those different types of things. Like it brings that type of feeling to me that, you know, they want me here just as much as I want to be here. And who wouldn't want to finish their career with a team that loves them just as much as you love them?
Omar.
Hey, Tyler, congratulations. Well deserved. We've heard from several of your teammates this offseason about just sort of how disappointing it was, you know, to end the year the way you did, kind of short of your goals. And you know, you guys are in the playoffs every year. Expectations are very high, of course. I'm just curious what the conversations are like amongst you and your teammates. You know, I don't know if it's pressure to do better next season, you know, to get to that, you know, get further in the playoffs, all that. Just kind of how do you guys approach that? How do you guys communicate to one another about kind of what you have to do to make that next step next season?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is how many teams is in the NFL? 32. So there's going to be 31 teams that's going to be disappointed. You know what I mean? So I think regardless of what would have happened to us in the playoffs, if it didn't result into a Super Bowl, we were going to end in disappointment. You know, and everybody has their opinions of, well, you know, you lost in the first round, this team lost in the second or the third, or this team lost in the Super Bowl. At the end of the day, if you're not the one with the trophy, it doesn't matter, right? So I think for us, the biggest thing that I know I've learned as an athlete is you can't take what happened last year into what's going on this year. You have to learn how to evolve. You have to learn how to adapt. Each player is going to be different. We all bring different qualities and we bring different things to the table, and we have to be able to figure out how to make that work. Just because you're successful the whole entire regular season doesn't mean you're going to win the Super Bowl. You know, it's the team that's able to adapt to whatever situation comes their way that's going to be able to be the one that can win the Super Bowl. So for us, if we're going to go into this season, we just have to learn how to adapt to anything and whatever is thrown our way. It's not about it's not about being able to be like, they can't stop the pass and we're going to keep passing. It's about if a team makes us have to run the ball, we as a team have to be able to execute it. If a team is giving us all the short throws, being able to execute that. If they're going to give us the deep balls, we're going to take that. Whatever a team gives us, we just got to take it rather than trying to go out there and do whatever we obviously want to do. So that's what I've learned. And that's what we have as players have also learned, is that let's try to get more comfortable with knowledge and understanding of what teams are trying to throw at us early on. And that's one of the things that we started learning towards the middle to end of the season last year. And so I think that's going to help us a lot more as we continue to get ourselves prepared for this season.
Cool. Thank you, Tyler. Quick follow-up. Are you planning on getting together with Russ this offseason and get some throws in?
I mean, we just have to wait and see. I mean, we've had conversations and stuff like that when we were still in the season, when we were lifting it. We had conversations. I don't think we still thought we would be in this pandemic. So I mean, we just got to kind of wait and see and just kind of see what happens.
Thank you, Tyler.
Bob?
Yeah, Tyler, speaking of Russell, I was just curious if you talked to him much this offseason. Obviously, there were some rumors about his future. If you know what you thought about all that, did any of that play any role in your decision to sign an extension at all? Or
yeah, I mean, I talked about it and stuff like that. I didn't really talk to Russ about it, but I think at the end of the day, you know, like a lot of that, it's over there on his side. You know, that doesn't really have anything to do with me. And so just throughout all the stuff that was being said, I mean, you just got to learn how to decipher the real from the media, right? So I think a lot of the guys on the inside that work within the Seahawks did a great job being able to have those conversations with players and stuff to kind of like let them know what's the difference between what's actually been said and what wasn't said and what the media are saying is being said and it's not. And so I think that, for us though, I think, the Seahawks did a great job being able to capture that so that as a team, we can stay united and we can be able to continue to be in this thing together as we continue to try to get better throughout whatever the season throws at us.
Art?
Tyler, last year in week 7 against Arizona, you had 15 receptions for 200 yards. Can you describe that day, what the circumstances were with Seattle's offense and Arizona's defense that allowed that kind of production to happen?
I don't know. I couldn't really tell you. I don't really know what the game plan was going into the game or anything like that. I just think that maybe, when we went into the game, we always have these game plans or these ideas of what we want to do and how we want to execute. I think maybe they saw that I was at a different place, like mentally or whatever, and they seen it early on in the game, and maybe they just decided to not go away from it. We always talk about opportunities and making the best out of each and every one of them. And truth be told, there have been games that, we see players come out a type of way that is like, don't change anything. Like we've seen it when we played the 49ers and DK was like killing it the whole entire game. And there's some games where we've been able to allow everybody to be able to play at a high level. And there's some games where maybe they just decided to play call and kind of give it to one person. We've had games where we ran the ball and it was like we didn't really throw it as much, and we decided we're just gonna run the ball with our running backs. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And so I think we've seen it throughout the whole season how we kind of change different stuff up. But I mean, that Arizona game, if we can be honest, games like that doesn't just come. Like those aren't the games you expect to happen all the time. That's just one of those games where it was just like, wow, like right moment, right time. Everything was just kind of clicking. And sometimes it's not always like that for games. So I'm thankful for the opportunity and stuff like that. But at the same time, the type of person that I am is if I'm getting 20 targets that game, I'm like, we need to get the ball to other people too, because you don't want it to always be about you. You want other people to get fed. You want other people to have a chance to be able to get theirs too. And I think that's the beauty of the NFL season is, I had one of those games, but you also see players have those same type of games. Like even Chris Carson had that game when he was scoring the first game of the season. And so, I think throughout the year, you just see different players kind of like have those moments, and it's beautiful and fun.
Can you describe that mental place that you were in?
Man, I can't even explain it. I'd rather just say I was in a whole nother place. I was just ready that day. I was just ready.
John Boyle?
Yeah, Tyler, Pete Carroll's talked a couple times about last offseason, maybe it going better than he thought with all the virtual stuff, getting more out of it. What did you learn going through that process once? And if potentially you guys are doing that again, what can you take from last year that'll help you get even more out of it this year?
Well, I think for me, obviously, like I said, it was different. We had virtual meetings, stuff like that. But it really allowed me to stay in my element, to figure out how to grind, to figure out what I needed to do in order to put myself in the best situation. Because, if we could be honest, sometimes we don't really know what we depend on and who we depend on until we don't have that around us anymore. And when we got into a pandemic, gyms shut down. When we got into a pandemic, we couldn't really just travel and go throw with people. And so you had to learn how to grind by yourself. You had to learn how to be your own personal trainer. For me, that was one of the things I've done almost my whole entire career is I've trained by myself, or I went to go train with my dad and my brothers, or I'll have one of my friends do stuff with me who's a coach right now in high school, and we'll just go do stuff like old times. But it's like I had to get up myself and go ride the bike. I had to get up myself and go do a lot of this stuff. And to me, the reason why I've always wanted to try to do stuff like that is not because I'm against working out with trainers and stuff. I think that's awesome because for me, I need to work out with like some of our trainers with the Seahawks to live. Like I want to get better in that area. But for me, like I want to be able, if I ever get to that place mentally where I'm like, I don't know if I could do this no more, there's going to be days where I'm not going to have the coaches there to pick me up or the players there to pick me up or a therapist there to pick me up. I got to learn how to pick myself up. If I'm not catching the ball and I'm having bad games, like I had 8 drops this past season. Like nobody's going to be harder on themselves than me, so that's why I like trying to do stuff sometimes by myself. I'm learning how to do stuff with other people, but I need to learn how to motivate myself. I need to learn how to like push myself and how to get to a place to where if all else fails and I don't have nobody on my side anymore, I know that I got me.
Joe Fan.
Tyler, curious how you feel about working with a new offensive coordinator this year. I'm guessing you and Shane haven't been able, like with the rules, can't like talk ball and specifics right now. But is there anything in terms of having fresh blood there? I know you're a guy who creates plays and likes to talk about what you're seeing on the field and being kind of a part of that process. Is there something involved with your role and maybe how you feel like you can continue to evolve that you're looking forward to potentially being able to work with Shane with in specific?
Yeah, well, I mean, even when we watched the Rams and how they did a lot of things, they did a lot of great things. They utilized people in a lot of great ways. And just with the opportunity to be able to have Shane come in, I think there's a lot of things that we could learn. There's a lot of things in which he brings to the table in which it may be new to not only us, but maybe coaches and other people who, have coached throughout the years or even players who've played throughout the years. So for us, I mean, I think we have to go into it with a mind that's able to accept and listen and understand and not act like we know everything. Obviously for me, I'm looking forward to it. It's been since I've been in the league, it seemed like almost every 3 years we changed offensive coordinators. And like, I hope at some point we can, stick to just, being able to have one, but in this profession, none of us are safe, even in my shoes. None of us are safe, even after you sign. You still have to perform. So you understand that this isn't like high school or college or whatever, where people stay. Other people make decisions to go places to benefit somewhere else. But in the situations that we're in, I really am looking forward to what's going to happen. Obviously, like we haven't been able to like go over a whole bunch of stuff. You just got to be able to have those conversations and listen and try to understand what to expect. If there's new plays or new formations to learn, it's like, okay, got to go back to study mode as if I'm in college again. But I think everybody has said so many great things about Shane. And, I'm looking forward to being able to meet him. I met him whenever I was going into the facility to sign. He was just outside and I was able to say hi and stuff. But for the most part, man, like I'm just looking forward to being able to play, being able to get to know him, get to know his family. And the biggest thing that I've learned is football is about relationships. And not only is it about relationships on the field, but it's about having those long-lasting relationships even when you're done playing, because that's what matters as well at the end of the day.
Is there a specific way you want him to utilize you that maybe you haven't done previously?
I mean, I'm the type of person that I want to see what they have planned for me first. And, I'll say kind of how I feel or how I think, or can I do this or can I do that? I mean, I kind of got to understand what role they see me in. And once I understand the role that they see me in, I can start understanding how I see myself in each and every one of these roles. And so, like I said, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing or where I'm going to be at, where I'm going to line up. Like, I mean, you got to figure out, am I on the outside or the slot, or am I going to play anywhere, everywhere? So like I said, it's not really until we start this process of OTAs and stuff that I'll really start to have an idea of the placement. And even that, it's not really going to be known until we get into camp and start actually playing in games.
Jessamine.
Hey, Tyler and everybody.
Hey.
You just mentioned the basically lack of consistency at offensive coordinator throughout your time here. What have you learned throughout that kind of change? And what do you think you might be able to, now in your almost 30 veteran status, might be able to share knowledge-wise with your new offensive coordinator?
Well, first, I wouldn't really say lack of consistency. I would just say that, both sides might have determined to go their separate ways. I wouldn't really say lack of consistency. The reason why I say that is because with all the coordinators that I've been a part of, we have been successful. We've made it to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, I think for the most part, every coordinator we've had, that I've been a part of has done a great job. Going back to Bevel, I've had a great relationship with him. He did a lot of great things, learned a lot of great things from Bevel. When it just came to teaching us certain things about the game while we go in motion, all that certain stuff, things you don't learn like that in college. When I came on the team, I really got to learn, a lot of stuff with Bev, and same with Cabes, what Cable was teaching us about the run game and stuff. When it came to Shotty being able to come in, Shotty came in, and even when he first got there, he taught us certain things that he did when he was with the Jets, when he was with the Colts. And even, I was able to look stuff up because I knew he was the coordinator, I think, with Georgia too. So the thing about Shotty was, we had that family connection because his dad coached my dad. And so that was one of those moments where that was pretty cool, being able to get coached by Shotty when his dad coached my dad. And so being able to be in that place, what I've learned was the NFL is all about adapting. And you can't get stuck with one person because everything changes, just like the season. So you got to learn how to be able to go with what coaches want you to do. And with Shadi, I learned how to be able to really go be that slot person. Because when I first came in the league with Bev, I was on the outside. And so then with Shadi, I ended up going to the slot. And so now, as we move forward, we go through Shane, what I'm learning is I'm getting a chance to be able to move around. And that's the beauty of it. A lot of people just say I'm a slot guy. Well, in college, I started off as a slot, but then I went to the X and I played the X the whole time. My rookie year in the league, Doug was the slot, Jermaine was the X, I was the Z. Then my second year, I was still in the same spot. Then they moved me to X before I broke my leg. Then all of a sudden, I went back to Z because Paul was at X. So that's why I said a lot of people kind of think I was in the slot the whole time when I wasn't. So when Shadi came, that's when I started playing the slot. And since then, now they've seen me for 3 years play outside. They see me for 3 years play in the slot. So now they're at a place where they can kind of move me around and see what fits whatever it is that they're trying to get me to do, whether for the season or throughout each game.
Forgive me, perhaps inconsistency term for that. I guess you've just seen plenty of you've had a lot of coaches who have obviously told you want to move around more.
Oh yeah, I would love to move around more. But I mean, like I said, we have so many talented people on our team. It's not just about you. You know what I'm saying? We can move anybody around. And I think that's the thing that we saw even last year as we got to a place where we started moving people around and where they was hold on, he's not supposed to be over here. And that's the beauty of now we bring Shane Waldron in, where he's been over there with the Rams and he's been the person who comes up with the plays, the passing game coordinator. And now you're starting to see how he can be able to move people around whenever he wants and however he wants. And so the things that he learned throughout his time, he can be able to bring that over to us and start being able to teach us other ways to be able to get things done in a creative, way that's going to help put us in positions to be successful. So that's why I said I'm looking forward to it. 3 years inside, 3 years outside. Now you're bringing in somebody that's very creative and strategic. So now, I got to learn how to adapt whatever Shane decides to do, but that's why I'm looking forward to it.
Brady?
Hey, Tyler, congrats on your deal, first of all. Going back to the conversation about installing a new offense, what do you think that's going to be like, doing that whole process without having the in-person work that you guys are not going to take part in? And was that part of the conversation when you guys were making that decision?
Well, I think like the hardest part was last year, trying to figure out how all of this was going to work and come together. But as we went through the process, like, man, the Seahawks did a phenomenal job in the way that we chose to run it, in the way that we chose to do it. And it also gives credit to the guys too, because we had to put ourselves in a place to be able to be a part of it and to get things done and to do it. So I think like throughout the virtual thing, like the thing about this game of football is it's not physical, it's all mental. And so I think for us, like what it does is it's something about, and I don't know, it's just something about being able to understand the plays and everything that the coaches are teaching you or something. And for us, it was easy to do it last year throughout the virtual process when we were trying to go through a lot of stuff. And when we went back into camp, things were amazing. Like everybody was flying around. Like you would have thought that we never missed a practice, or we never missed an OTA. And that's the beauty of it that we're able to see, is that it's all mental. And so for us, when we went through that virtual experience, like we had to be on our P's and Q's because we wanted to make sure that we was all great when we went back out there. And I think like the NFL season just kind of showed, that we were still on it.
And the broken leg from 2016, do you still think about that? And did that pop into your mind when you signed this latest contract extension?
Oh yeah, of course. I tell some people all the time, like when I broke my leg, I lost half a step. But it's not like I need that half a step. It's just like, I miss that half a step sometimes. But you, like I said, man, you learn how to adapt. And that second year, it's a blessing, because the biggest thing that I've learned is that you're not always going to play healthy. As much as we want to say that, it doesn't matter what you do in what sport, you're not always going to be healthy. Sometimes you might have a little stinger. Sometimes you might have a nagging foot or something, whatever. But you got to be able to go out there and learn how to play. And so for me, man, like when I hurt my knee, I went out there, came back in the game. That was probably my favorite play of my whole entire career. When I hurt my knee, my second year versus the Rams, and I told Russ to throw me the ball. And he said, what percentage are you feeling, like 1 out of 10? And I don't remember what I said. I think I said like 7. And he was trying to figure out if that was good or not. And I was like, just throw it, I'll catch it. And he threw me the post and I caught it. That's probably my favorite play, because I did not think I was going to be able to go back in. And people were shocked, and I was shocked, because I went out there thinking I wasn't going to play, and I went back in the game and caught the ball. And so the reason why I tell that story is because I've learned you got to learn how to make it work. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what adversity is going to come your way, but you figure out how to make it work. Like I broke my leg. That sucked. But I had to learn how to be able to make it work. I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to crutch around. I had to go through the process. And even after that, I couldn't sit on my butt and complain about what I missed out on or what didn't work out for me. Like I had to come back and figure out how to be able to play my best ball, maybe not feeling the way that I wish I used to feel. I had to learn how to still get open. I had to learn how to still beat people man to man. I had to learn how to strengthen my leg to get that stuff back and to be stronger. And throughout the whole entire processes of everything I had to go through, whether mentally or physically, being able to be in a position that, like I said, when we were able to accept the deal, it was one of those feelings of, like I said, why me? There's so many people back home from where I'm from that deserve to be in this position. And I'm not saying I don't deserve it. I'm just saying, for me, I've seen the favor of God over my life. And for that, I'm truly thankful and I'm truly happy. And so I'm also learning how to be a good steward of everything that's been given to me, the position that I'm in, and also how to enjoy it. But I'm also here on a purpose. And that's what drives me. That's what motivates me. That's what keeps me going. And so, yeah, there's sometimes I look back at that broken leg, but I understand that that was a part of my story that needed to happen because I needed all of these things to take place in order for me to get to this place mentally and physically to continue to grow and continue to develop and continue to evolve as I continue to become the best person that I can for myself today.
Thanks, Tyler.
Two more for you, Tyler. Masvita.
Yeah, hey, Tyler, I think you answered most of this question in terms of adaptability, but I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about adapting, taking the mental and the physical together, because players can be adaptable mentally, but not able to do that physically or vice versa. How have you been able to mirror those and be the best person you can be?
Just got to take it one day at a time. I'd be lying if I said I ain't had mental breakdowns. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have to work through anxiety attacks or panic attacks or whatever. We all got things we got to work on. We all are trying to learn how to control ourselves and control our bodies, learn how to find healthy coping mechanisms, all of these different types of things. But if there was one thing that I've learned throughout this time in COVID, nothing else matters except trying to be the best person that you can be. Like, that's what I've truly learned is like in everything, in every way, shape, or possible, the Bible said, and it started making more sense. It says, everything you do, do it as if you're doing it to the Lord. And it sounds easier said than done. But during this time of COVID, like what I realized is it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like the question is, if I do it as if I'm doing it to God, it doesn't matter how anybody else responds to me or how they treat me or whatever they do to me. Because at the end of the day, I'm doing it out of the most powerful type of love that I can do it. And so that's why I said I started realizing that I'm in this game of life with myself. I'm running this race by myself. I'm learning how to love people, to motivate people, inspire people. I'm not here to live up to people's expectations of me. You know, like I'm not here to live up to the person that they want me to be. So when people say, oh, my second contract, why they give them that much? Well, why are you worried about what God is doing in my life? You know, like why not focus on what he's doing in your life? Why are you in my pockets? Why are you worried about the blessings and favor that I have over my life? And what I started to realize is that nobody's going to be able to enjoy your life more than you. Nobody's going to be able to understand what things mean to you because they're not the ones that's been able to be in the positions and situations to see it the way that you see it, which makes it so meaningful. So that's why I've said, even during this time of being by myself, learning forgiveness, learning love, all these different things with everybody in my life, I've learned that I have the power to forgive. I have the power to let go. I have the power to love. I have the power to choose what do I see my life being. Nothing has to alter my direction unless I choose to let it alter my direction. So I've learned how to adapt. I've learned how not to get stuck in a moment, how to let, as much as I enjoyed that contract, I had to let it go and keep moving on forward to my daily normalcy life. Because we get stuck in moments and stories to where we can't get ourselves out, and the world is evolving, people are evolving, we are evolving. And if we can't get ourselves out of certain moments in history, we're never going to be able to evolve, and life passes us by.
Thank you.
All right, last one, Curtis.
Yeah,
I really don't even know if I'm answering y'all questions. I really don't even know to this point.
Well, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, Tyler, you mentioned that at the end of the day, if you don't win the Super Bowl, you're going to be disappointed anyway. But looking back at the second half of last season, how frustrated is it that you guys as an offense couldn't find your way to pull yourselves out of that rut when things just kind of got a little bit out of sorts and you guys couldn't find that way to get back to where you were early in the season and push into the playoffs at that sort of a clip?
I mean, I would say it's very frustrating, but at the same time, I think if anybody else was to put themselves in the same situation as us, I think they may have gone through, if not the same thing. I can't say if they would be better or worse, but I think everybody would have been faced with the same thing. When you look at the first half of our season, and you see the way that we played, I mean, why would we ever stop playing like that, right? Like everything is clicking, whatever we choose to do. And it worked so good to where we really didn't have to worry about adjusting. We made everybody adjust to us. So it wasn't until the second half of the season where we were truly faced with having to learn how to adjust. And that's the thing that sometimes is hard for people in general. Like I like watching basketball sometimes, but it's like, when you're guarding somebody who only likes to shoot threes, well, you're going to kill him every single time because you can get yourself open. But what happens when they say, get on him and don't let him shoot, make him drive? You have to adjust your game. And so that's what I've learned, like, even for us, is we've done so many things that was like out of this world, to where people was like, this offense is crazy, to where we didn't have to adjust. And then when teams started doing some of the things that we hadn't seen on film, and they were starting to just do certain things just to prepare for us, now we had to learn how to be able to see what they're doing before we attack. And that's why I said it's different. When you had that mentality, attack, that's what you've seen in the first half. But when teams start to throw out different type of stuff, and now you got to start learning, like, okay, this goes against our rules. Now we got to start changing certain stuff up, because now the way that we used to go, teams adapted to us, but now we got to figure out how to be able to find ways to keep moving forward and keep attacking while seeing what they're throwing at us. So that's why I said it wasn't like it was a difficult second half for us. It's just we had to truly learn what it meant to adjust. When the first half, we never had to.
All right, Tyler, thank you, and thank you, everyone.
All right, God bless,
Thanks,
man.
Tyler.
Thanks, Tyler.